As repetitive as some of this may seem, I'm going to keep right on going with some of the locals in my area with this episode of Game of Names. I'm going to start right in with C. Carlin Plumbing. C. Period. Carlin. Remember, the universe works in amazing ways, and every moment is this now moment, so people always resonate. We just get lost in the details. Now, C. Carlin. C, the unseen concept, but constant to itself. Dot. Another C, the constant to itself or the unseen concept, activated reference as it lie in identified notion. He's a plumber. What lays inside you? What is the unseen concept that's constant to you? But that same period on that dot, unseen concept constant to itself, active reference as it lies, identified notion. Your poop, your plumbing, the stuff that's constant to itself, unseen. Plumbing, C. Carlin Plumbing. Next we have Finney Waste Disposal. And these are all people's last names, remember. His last name, Finney. The company's name, Finney. When you're finished with something, form identified, notion upon itself, expressed, vitally identified. Because you're finished with it. So what do they do with it? When you have no need for it, nay. Fin, nay. Notion expressed, vitally identified. Someone who takes your garbage, waste disposal. Now, we have a place around here we refer to as Garbage Mountain. It's the waste management garbage dump, basically. It's a huge mountain of garbage. And the guy who owned it for the longest time, his last name was P-F-A-D-T, fat. So, you have a piece or potential, form, force, or familiar, active, to and from, plus. So not only is he just sort of like the waste removal guys were, he's the place, piece, or potential, form, force, or familiar, active, to and from, plus. So you have the to and from right there. Now when you plus it to a place, form, force, or familiar, active, to and from, plus, Garbage Mountain, fat, P-F-A-D-T. Do you see how his name exactly resonates with who he is and what he did? I hope you're seeing it. Next we have Stan's Garden Center, where there is always something growing on. It doesn't just stand there. It's Stan, subject plus active notion or nature. Skarzinski is his last name. Subject, kinetic, active reference from one side to another, expressing nature, subject, kinetic identity. He sells plants. Always something growing on. Skarzinski. Zen in the middle, from one side to another, expressing notion or nature. Subject, kinetic identity. So if it comes from one side to another, like the sun to the ground, and things grow from one side to the other, from the ground up, Stan Skarzinski. He founded, owned, and operated a garden center. Spot on. Can't miss it. And if you look at his wife's name, Anne Marie, say like in the movie Alice in Wonderland, Mary Ann. Now we're talking Anne Marie. Turn that around. Instead of looking for something out in the air that isn't there, you're looking for something on the ground. Active, nature, upon itself, expressed, manifested, active reference, identified expression. Seeds and growth. When you put them together, all together, and you have Stan and Anne Marie Skarzinski, it's literally things that stand and marry the ground from the sky. Scar, Zen, ski. See how that works? It's right there. In some of these later videos, I'm hoping anyone who has followed any of the things that I've put out over the years, and when I say followed, I don't mean in the typical way. I mean have actually tuned in and paid attention to what I'm saying, because I'm not just some dude rambling some nonsense. This is deep stuff that is really hard for most people to put together and see how profound it is. And I'm saying it so simply that most people won't see it for that reason. But I know that Hammett Hospital is a countrywide thing. It's more than just my area. But Hammett is a hospital, H-A-M-O-T. Here, active, manifesting, ongoing, plus. It's the here active. You're the manifest, ongoing, plus. You're the Mott. Why do you think Mott's is applesauce with 2 T's? Because it's M, manifest, ongoing, plus plus in 4D. Mott, applesauce. Hammett, here, active. That's where you go to manifest, ongoing, plus. Hospital name. See how that is? Now just the simple reason that I used this, Hammett Hospital, is because right down the road, Hammett Motors for auto and towing. You go to Hammett because here, active, manifest, ongoing, plus for you. Notice that it's all one letter, H-A-M-O-T. Now this next one is Hammett Motors, H-A-M-M-E-T-T, because it's the here active that manifests two M's upon itself. You take something there, then they met it. They manifest, express, plus, plus in place. It's 4D. Two T's at the end, two M's in the middle. Two M's equal to Z. You bring it there, they fix it. To express it, plus, plus, 4D. See how that is? Now, if you can wrap your head around it and understand that it actually adds up in the world, and all the details of everyone's everyday life is the stuff that distracts them from what real reality is. Are you understanding? So anyway, I'm using everyday words and everyday people and stuff and places and things because that's who we are. We're not the narrative that we see on TV. We're people who can make thoughts and we can make decisions in this now moment. Now let's all start learning how, and I would love to teach you. That's the stuff I'm trying to get to once we get past the alphabet. And I know we will, because I have confidence. I know my heart is here. So when I find anyone else out there with a heart that's really functioning properly, we can fix this mess. Now the next one is a local guy named Jason Perico with Perico Motors. They have all kinds of different cars. Just look at the word Perico. Jason, of course he stands out because he's the intense, active subject, ongoing notion. That's what Jason is. But then when you put that with Perico, it literally, if you understand what letter placements are, for, ye, go, for, go, for, e, go, but por, eco. Placement or potential ongoing, referenced upon itself, expressing, constant to itself, ongoing. For, ye, go, por, eco, for you to go. Do you see how that is? Where it says to become again as a child, and that's when you see the door to heaven. That's what this means. Everything is simply right in front of you. You can actually understand if you open your heart and give a damn. Otherwise, you can keep falling for the lies or you can keep cooperating even though you know that they're the ones hurting you. How much sense does that make? I'm going to leave it at that and move on to the next person. Having just finished Perico, I figured I would move on to the most famous car dealership in our area. Because not only is it a cool backstory, he went to the high school I went to, and his name's Joe Askins. He bought a little sort of run-down garage that fixed up cars called Mother's out in the county with sort of a big junkyard. And over a 20-year period, he turned Mother's into a place called Auto Express. Then he started a place called Off-Road Express. And then he has Kia and Fiat and Mazda. So he's sort of taken over the car dealership part of our area. Not necessarily taken over, but he is the car man. So just like Perico was Jason with a J, intense, we have Joe, intense, or junction of the identity, intense, ongoing expression, and then his last name is Askins. If you wanted to activate skins, I mean, it sounds funny to say skins, but you are Joey, intense, ongoing expression. On that bottom line, remember, E is coming into expression. If you are intense, ongoing, that's J and O, which equals Y. So that's yoke yonder right there, J-O. With an E expressing on the bottom line, now you're Askins. Say, if you have an active A, and then skins, you're going over the top of something. And that would be the road, the ground, the skin of the land. Like on the big term, that's what his name would translate to. It's pretty darn cool. But then, other than that, his name is simply Joe, intense, ongoing expression, Askins, which is active, subject, kinetic, identified, notion, subject. Not only does he sell cars, he sells the off-road, the ATVs, just about every brand. He's got, wanna see ya in a Kia? Make it a Mazda, Off-Road Express. Get out and play. He's got all kinds of things. He was destined to do it within his own resonation. It's so cool how this truly works and the universe puts us in our place so that we can see as we're all coming together, it all starts making sense. And right now, no matter how many wild, crazy stories there are out there, if you listen to what I'm saying, I'll always make sense. It may not be easy. It may not seem like anyone's ever going to change or that anyone ever cares. but it always makes sense because it does always come back to, if you don't care about anything, including yourself, then no positive changes can be made. If no one cares about anything, we're never going to have enough to work together. So that's where we have to actually start working. Let's move on to some more. Next, I want to bring up two of the area's propane and oil providers. The first one is quite simple. E.L. Hurd and Sons. Used to be quite popular when I was younger. It's still around now, but either way. E.L. Hurd. Those are the initials. Hurd. E.L. is an original god name. E.L. Expression, ling or active base. Here expressed active reference dia, to and from. So if you wanted to have expression, ling, here expressed active reference to and from, they bring you stuff to burn. Oil, propane, natural gas. That's E.L. Hurd. The other one, family names, remember, these are all people. Lictus, propane and oil. Lictus. If you understand any older languages or different languages, Lic, Luc, those can be referring to light. Not always, but sometimes. So we have lictus, ling, identified, unseen concept or constant to itself, plus underlying or unit, subjected. So if you had some ling, identified, unseen concept, and you wanted to plus that underlying thing and subject it, it's oil, it's gas, it's propane. Lictus, propane and oil, and E.L. Hurd. Isn't this stuff really cool when you start seeing it? And these are real things in the world, not just made up movie scripts. I'm telling you the book of life. It's not my fault that everyone's getting stuck on somebody else's story. We're all living lives that someone else is forcing us to do one way or the other. We only have little moments where we pick them. When it comes down to it, if we start focusing on what we really want and how we truly survive and flourish, not just make it by, how we truly survive and flourish as a civilization, we can do that. But if we keep letting people in offices run our lives, it's only going to get worse and worse, and we're getting deeper and deeper into our own horror movie. So let's not let that happen. Join with somebody who actually gives a damn about you. We'll move on to the next couple people. Yaples Vacuum and Sewing Center, where our business is picking up. Womp. Yaples Vacuum Center. Doug Yaple. It's known as Doug Yaples Vacuums. Now, just listen to it. Doug, D-O-U-G. Not like when somebody has dug up a hole. Doug, D-dia, ongoing. Unit or unanimous. Generated and grouped. Yaple, not just pull, but vitally identify the act of pull, placement as it lie, expressed. So if you have to vitally identify action in place as it lies, expressing, what would that be? It wouldn't just be pull, it would be a yay pull. And when you dig in first and then yay pull, it's a vacuum. Doug Yaple Vacuum Center. Dia, ongoing unit, generated and grouped. Vitally identified act, placement as it lies, expressed. Do you see how that's a vacuum person? I think that one is so awesome. He went through his whole life doing what he did, but he still ended up resonating with a person who works with vacuums because he dug Yaple vacuums. It's so awesome. Let's continue. This next one will include the word David, which I have many times. But what other people have not understood is that David means the active vital identity. David. You could say dia, active, via, identified, dia. Who you are. You're not divide, you're David. See how that is? And then Goliath, that whole idea in that story, is the goal that you're trying to get separate from you. Not who you are, David. Goliath, the goal that you're trying to get. But then if you give that a representation of a person, it's this giant obstacle that you have to hit in the center of the eye, which is your third eye. Pretty simple to understand if you just put it together and have a mind. This person is David Idaluka from Idaluka Chiropractic. Now, if you just look at it, instead of A then I, it's I then A. So you're identified, active, to and from the expressed, as it lie, unit, constant to itself, active. He is a chiropractic center. because you're the identified active dia expression as it lies, unit, unseen concept to itself, active, your back, your nerves. See how that is? David Idaluca. We're going to wrap up this episode of Game of Names with some of the funeral homes and crematories. We have two family members, Sandy and Nancy. Their last name is Duskas, Dusckas. Sandy, subject, active notion, to and from, vital identity. And then Nancy, notion, active, notion, unseen concept, vital identity. Basically the same thing, Sandy and Nancy. And you see the way that it's done. It's SANNAN, but then Sandy has D, to and from, vital identity. And then San, as in like when we say Daniel's son, your energy, your spirit, San, to and from, vital identity. And then Nan, that notion, active notion, unseen concept, vital identity. So your notion was active. Now you have a notion of an unseen concept, vitally identified. Then you look at their last name. When you die, you kiss the dust. How silly this sounds, I know. But Duscus, to and from, a unit, subjected, unseen concept, kinetic, active subject. So if you to or from or dia, a unit, subjected, constant to itself, unseen concept, that kind of thing, then you kinetically activate a subject, you do something with their dead body. Sandy and Nancy Duscus. Since I did the women of the Duscus family, I'll have to include the founder of it, the father, the man, Constantine. I already did Duscus, so you know what that means, and you can just hear it, dust kiss, but Duscus. So we have Constantine. Constant to itself or unseen concept, ongoing notion, subject plus active notion plus identified notion expressed. So if your unseen ongoing notion was your stant and you wanted to identify that notion expressed, it would be an urn, a grave, your name on your tombstone or headstone. See? Especially when you put Duscus on it. A ball is a ball, but a red ball is a red ball. A Duscus is a Duscus. And a Constantine is a Constantine. But a Constantine Duscus does exactly that. Now, on top of it, he went by the nickname Gus. I mean, how much closer could you get to ghost or goes? Goes? Gus. Generated and grouped, underlying or unit, subjected or subject. The next one is Burton Quinn Scott, cremation and funeral services. If you've seen any Tim Burton movies, you know that he's got a dark kind of theme to himself. Base, underlined or unit, reference, plus ongoing notion. The ongoing notion of a base, underlying or unanimous reference. Base, unit, down on the ground. Things going on about death. That's why Tim Burton's the way he is, because he's plus identified manifestation Burton. Now we have Quinn Scott. Base, underlying reference, plus ongoing notion. On cue, unit identified notion upon itself, or in blank space, hyphenated with subject, unseen concept, or constant to itself, ongoing, plus, plus, in its place. 4D. So if you understand that on cue, unit identified, notion upon itself, hyphenated with subject, constant to itself, unseen concept, ongoing notion, plus, plus, that's cremating a body. Do you see how this is cremation and funeral services? That's Burton Quinn Scott. Do you see how there's really no way to avoid the fact that this makes sense? It may be kooky and weird and odd that some person really cares enough to keep insisting that you need to hear what I'm saying because it's so much deeper than just the names and letters that I'm talking about. I'm trying to show you this is something that we've all gone through over and over and over. And I remember it. The problem is you're getting stuck on the details of this one, and many of them are fabricated, and you just believe them because you don't want to feel dumb. I'm sorry. I know I'm right. People don't want to hear it. And when I know that how we fix this problem is actually caring about each other, and no one wants to care, that's a big issue. That's what we need to work on. So I'm not going to belabor this video and go any more into it because I could spiel forever because I give a damn. Just know that there's someone out there who actually cares about you. And I'm willing to put myself on the line And unfortunately for you, I have to make you feel uncomfortable because the truth is not comfortable. We've got to deal with it, or it's just going to get worse. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. So until the next time, keep your mind open and keep learning. You'll be hearing from me soon. And until then, peace and God bless.